When I'm not in the shop or spending time with family and friends, I usually revert to assembling jigsaw puzzles, usually in about the 1,000-piece versions. But about 2 years ago, I purchased a 4,000-piece puzzle, a map of the world. And with that much ocean, yes, it was definitely as difficult as it sounds. It's a little hard to get a good shot of this due to the glaring lights, but the ending result turned out amazing. And after all that hard work, I didn't want to just disassemble it. So let's see if we can glue it up. Now this is the first time I've ever glued a puzzle together, so I'm a little bit nervous and a little bit excited at the same time. And of course, I needed to do a little bit of research to find out what the best glue was for a puzzle, and most people were telling me Mod Podge, and I'm not used to using this stuff, so let's go test this out first. So I'll put together 2 much smaller puzzles to give this a try and to see exactly how to apply it. For the first puzzle, I used a business card to help spread all of the glue around, and it's a little hard to see on camera, but there's a bunch of splotchy spots all around this puzzle, and it just doesn't look that good. It's a little hard to see, but here's an example. There's like a high spot there, it's blotchy. It's just almost looks like a hair going through it, but it's not. It just looks like that throughout the whole puzzle. So I tried it again on another puzzle with a foam brush, and I made sure to do long, straight strokes to see how it would come out. And let me show you up close. And again, the ending result is a little hard to see, but as you look here across the dark areas, you can see where the brush had just these strokes going across the entire puzzle. Now, either one of these methods can work for you, but I have a feeling since I want to put this map up on the wall that the uniform strokes of the brush will probably look a little bit better. I also purchased a matte version of this glue to hopefully tone down some of that glare. But before we can glue this puzzle together, I have to stick something under it to protect it from sticking to this board. And a lot of people just recommend using wax paper. Well, one, that's not going to be very easy to get this wax paper under there, and I'm going to have several pieces of this, so this might be a challenge. I'm going to attempt to do this wax paper just horizontally across, and that way I believe I'm only going to need 4 strips. Let's start with this corner and see how well it does. Ooh. Oh, that's a challenge just to get under that corner. Oh, there it goes. Some of these are going under easier and some are a little harder. Ooh, like there. Oops. This is what I'm having to deal with. This wax paper, I'm going to move it a little bit, keeps slipping up and over some of these smaller pieces and just makes it difficult to get through. This first piece of wax paper was definitely a challenge to get under there, but to help prevent that with the second one, I'm going to put it actually under the first and slide it up under as far as it'll go, and that way it'll at least get about 1 foot under there before it starts hanging up in any pieces. Now if you happen to have a piece like I do here that just keeps getting stuck, I found if I take a piece of a post-it note and try and get that one piece up, it's a little challenging sometimes, just high enough I can get my finger under, then I can hopefully pull that one piece out, let the wax paper fall down, and then put it back on top. Let's see if I can do that here. Just like that. And after a bunch of struggle back and forth, we finally got the wax paper underneath. And now it's time for the glue. This puzzle is so large, by the time I finish this last little corner, this first corner is almost dry. Just to let you know, if you glue a puzzle this large, you're going to use about 3/4 of this container, which is 16 fluid ounces. I'm actually going to have to buy a second one to do the backside. This glue suggests at least 30 minutes between coats if you're doing multiple coats, and I only plan on doing one on the front and one on the back. So I decided to give it several hours before trying to flip it over, that way it won't fall apart. Now let's see how hard this will be to pull off the wax paper. Oh, right there, that's real nice, coming off real easy. If you look real close on the edge here, right here, here, and here, you'll see a little bit of the glue that kind of spilled over the edge onto the wax paper, but this can be easily trimmed off later. Now it's time to see if we can get this thing flipped over. Oh yeah. Oh, that's nice. One big piece. Let's fix the wax paper, but as you can see there, nice, one large solid piece. Awesome. And here is a close-up of the back. It's not perfectly flat, but it is definitely close enough for this setup. And I'm sorry about all the dog hair, it just tends to get everywhere. But before I glue the back, I'm going to go ahead and trim off these excess pieces on the edges, making sure to cut towards the back of the puzzle, not the front. Because if it starts to peel up anything, you want to accidentally peel up the back and not where your actual picture is. So I'm just going to carefully use my knife and just cut real gently, real carefully doing this. And since I had some extra wax paper, I decided to lay down 4 new pieces just for a fresh start. This is so cool. Look at this puzzle. It is literally holding itself up, just leaning against this couch. And to secure the back, we're going to use the same glue with the same technique. 2 things I learned while applying this to the back of the puzzle is first, you only need a very thin coat, and secondly, it doesn't matter which direction your brush stroke goes in as long as you get all the cracks fully filled in. And while that back side is drying, let me show you the difference between the matte and gloss glue. From a distance, you really can't tell much of a difference between the two, so let's get up close to see it. On the left side, I use the gloss glue, and the right side, I use the matte, and you can tell a slight difference as I move it back and forth in the light, specifically in the darker colors. Now the glue I would suggest for you would be the matte if you're going to use anything that looks like a painting. If it's a picture, you could probably go with the gloss. Now I do have to let you know that the matte glue does, in my opinion, smell a lot better than the gloss. I've asked a few other people and they feel the same way. I believe the gloss has like a lacquer or some kind of varnish in it to give it that shine, for which the matte does not, so it's not as hard of a smell on your nose. And here's the final product. I'm super excited in the way it looks. It still feels and looks like a puzzle, but it is solid. I can pick this thing up and I don't have to worry about it falling apart. Now it's time to put this in a frame, but it is an odd size, so I'm gonna have to build one of those in a future video.